Or
Um,
Deborah kick me off?
I it's we can kick off. I can start going over the training unless you have anything to say regarding AI in any of your businesses.
Daniel, are you recording this?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. Vincent, we want you to kick it off and share with teammates here sort of your vision for AI and why you're having them trained up in AI. So if you can go ahead and do that.
I think this one specifically, Daniel, you're training just on the tool of ChatGPT, which obviously is one of the more prominent AI tools. And frankly, I think this thing is evolving so fast. You guys will get a good understanding of at least what we can see now. What I can tell you is when I think of innovation in general, and then also how I look at companies that have done well. And when I say done well, I don't mean just a team somehow doing it. It's much more along the line of what we have always talked about, CPI and engaging everybody. Because the truth is, you all do different roles, and you will know your stuff more than anyone else. And when I look at my neighborhood, I see a lot of Toyota and a lot of Teslas. And I was first use the Tesla because more of you are now driving it. You know, it's not just the battery and the look and all that. For those of you who have it, it's the software update that it keeps coming out with. And no other electric car has that. And then you may say, okay, well, that's some software engineer that's thinking of those things. That might be true, but they will have to think about a lot of things. They probably have some various different input from different users. Because I've been driving it since 13, so I know all the ones it has evolved. So for example, a very practical one is if I go to a particular spot and it has a bump or has something that will scratch the bottom, and I adjust my suspension in that spot. Well, next time when it gets to that place, because it has GPS, it knows the same spot. It will adjust automatically. It may seem like a very small thing, but somehow they thought about it and it made it easier. And when it comes to then, when I decide, let's say if I want to look at another even electric car, it's just not that simple because there are a lot of little things that came together with. Now, you all have heard me talk about Toyota before, and they didn't just design good cars. They engage everybody on the manufacturing plant, and they address problem, and they get better and better and better. There's a reason why their car lasts so long, and I like that example because it's all the frontline folks who's doing it, and they have a culture like that. So for me, I don't claim to have a particular thing thought out about AI. I just know that it's going to change everything. In a week or two, Jesse and I were meeting with a company that Justin is helping out. And some of you know Justin was our senior accounting manager, and he knew NetSuite well. Well, this new company, they're using AI to essentially write a competing ERP to NetSuite. And they are gaining a lot of attention. They raised 90 million on their first round. And so lots of people are looking at them. So this is just an example of what the tool potentially has potential for. So I am excited that you all are able to get a glimpse from Daniel today, and then there will be much more to come. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Vincent. All right, yeah. So exactly what Vincent said. Reason we're doing this training, over 50% of the companies are actually expecting AI to significantly boost productivity within everyone in the company. So if you're entry level, if your leadership, doesn't matter, AI can assist you in one way or another. So welcome everyone. This is ChatGPT 101. We're going to be going over the basics and building up practical skills that you can use immediately. We're going to be focusing a lot on like prompting skills, tips and tricks, best practices, as well as the ChatGPT UI, the user interface. All right, so what is ChatGPT? ChatGPT, think of it as a very smart assistant that can read and write very well. You just need to provide it with the correct information. So unlike Google, because I know I tend, when I first started out, I was using ChatGPT as like a glorified Google, right? So unlike Google, which just gives you the links to the websites and you still have to like dig around, right? ChatGPT actually reads, understands, and creates original responses. It can help with basic things that, such as like writing emails, brainstorming ideas, explaining complex topics, and research. I think a lot of you have already started using it for similar topics. So in general, just think of ChatGPT as really smart assistant who needs exact instructions. It's really, really good at following direction. It just will not read your mind. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck. So what makes a good prompt? It's going to be, if you don't provide enough context, if you provide a very poor prompt, you're going to get a very generic answer. So a good prompt will actually give you something useful, something detailed, more tailored to what you're expecting. So let's look at these two examples down here. And the first example is an example of a poor prompt. It's just, hey, write me an email. If you just write that into ChatGPT, it's going to give you a random subject. Oh, I just realized I am not sharing the screen. Give me 1 second. Apologize for that. Can everyone see my screen okay?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, perfect. So now that you can see my screen, let me know if you can actually read it, if I need to zoom in or out. But so this is an example of a poor prompt right here. It's going to be, write me an email. Subject is just going to be generic, hello. I hope this email finds you well. The rest of it's going to be very generic. It has no context to work with, right? A better prompt is going to be like, hey, you're a project manager. I need you to write a follow-up email to a client who missed yesterday's deadline. Be professional but firm and include next steps. So this already is the subject's gonna include project timelines, next steps required. It knows what it's doing, right? And then hi client, I wanted to follow up with the deliverables that were due yesterday. Everything after that's gonna be professional, concise, and everything. So that's just an example of how prompting makes a difference, right? So the first one that we're gonna look at, the first prompting method is gonna be role goal output. This is the most general method there is to good prompting, the first one that I will be going over. So think of it as giving ChatGPT 3 key pieces of information. The role being who it should pretend to be. This helps ChatGPT understand what perspective and expertise to bring. So you can have it as, I want you to be a project manager. I want you to be a nutrition specialist. I want you to act like a child trying to explain something to me. And I'll show you use cases with that later, because there's been times where I'm trying to learn a really complex subject, and when ChatGPT explains the subject to me, I have no idea what it's talking about. So I actually ask it to like, hey, talk to me as if I was a child, and it changes its tone completely. So that's the importance of role. It can specify exactly the details you need to understand, and different fields talk about similar subjects very different. So that's why assigning a role is essential. So the goal is going to clearly state what you're trying to accomplish. This is usually what most people go straight to telling ChatGPT to do. Hey, I'm trying to accomplish this. So if we can just focus on your specific objective, that's great. We just want to make sure we surround it with role, goal, and then output. So output being how you want the response, format. This means you get exactly what you can use immediately. So this being, hey, I want it in an email structure. I want bullet points. I want a summarized version of this article. I want it in a downloadable PDF that I can share later. So this provides it exactly how you want to see it. And you can get very specific with this. So let's go with some examples directly on ChatGPT. So can everyone see my ChatGPT?
Can
Okay.
you zoom in a little bit, Daniel? I'm a
Yeah.
little blind. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So going based off this, the first response or first example is going to be a very generic one. Help me with the presentation on our new product. So this is going directly to goal with no outside context whatsoever. ChatGPT can't even answer that because it needs more context. It will already start asking you, hey, before I finish or help you out, you actually need to answer a few questions, right? But when we give it more, we give it the role goal output method. You are a presentation coach. Help me create an outline for a 15-minute presentation about our new product launch. I need clear instructions with timing for each section. You could see we gave it the role of a presentation coach. We gave it clear goals, and we provided an output, the structure with times. And it gave us 6 different structures, all with talking points and about an estimated time frame for each. So this is already a lot better than our first output. But now we're going to enhance the role goal output already, give it a little bit more detail. So this one's going to be, hey, you are a presentation coach with expertise in product launches. So before we gave it a role, but now we're giving it a role exactly in what we need. I'm presenting our new mobile app to potential investors next week. Create a 15-minute presentation outline that highlights market opportunity, product demo, and funding needs. You're giving it more context in what to do in the goal. Format as bullet points with recommended timing for each section. So this one, it actually includes what you wanted. It included a section for market opportunity, for a product demo down here, for budgeting down here, or funding needs. So it included 3 different sections that it didn't already have. And these are crucial right here. And again, with the output, it included different timeframes. It included ROI. Just because you started giving it that role, you told it, hey, you're a presentation coach with expertise in product launches. Someone who is actually that will tell you all this. So ChatGPT is already acting as that role. All right. So again, context is everything. 1 second. Context is everything in AI prompting. I can't stress this enough. The more relevant details you give ChatGPT, the more it can tailor its responses to your actual needs. Think of it as painting a picture for ChatGPT about the world that you want, so it can actually give you advice for your specific world and situation. Taking that, we're going to enhance that role goal output method already. So this is more on the slightly more advanced prompting tips that we can use. So this varies. Let me take a step back. All these prompting tips are useful in different situations. You don't always need to give it a role goal output. If you know that you can get a pretty good answer with just a quick prompt, then so be it. It's going to work out. I do that all the time. If you realize that that one simple prompt isn't getting the results you want, then that's when you start trying to enhance your prompt. So use the role goal output method. And if that doesn't work and you're still not getting this crazy project you're working on, AI is not helping you the way you want to increase the prompting methods. So this one's going to be going on role, context, task, format, constraints. So this one, role is the same as before, who you want it to act. But now you're going to be providing a context along with your task. Provide as much background detail as you can to ChatGPT. It uses this information in the best way possible. Again, it's a personal assistant. An assistant can't do work, the work that you would like it to without context. It's a blank slate to start with. So if you tell it, hey, I want this, it can get it done for you. It's just not going to get it done the way you want unless you provide context. So provide the context, provide the task, which is the goal, and then your format, the output, exactly how you want it. I want an email written for me. That's great. But now you're going to include constraints. Constraints add important limitations like budgets, time, tone, and length requirements. So right here, down here, you can see you're a marketing strategist, you provided the role. We have a B2B software company that has 500 followers, posts 3 times a week, gets low engagement, and our target audience is small business owners aged 35 to 50. That right there is context. We didn't tell it to do anything. We were just providing details. So it knows where we're coming from. Because there's multiple positions in the world that are similar, but not all exactly the same. So moving on, we're going to go analyze our social media performance and suggest improvements. That right there is the goal, the tasks. Provide your analysis as bullet points, specific action items. That is the format or the output. And then keep recommendations under $500 monthly budget and focus only on organic growth strategies. That right there is a constraint. You're limiting it to that specifically. And limiting is not always bad. It's sometimes exactly what you want. So the methods that I went over just now are great. I've used them before. They help for some projects, but they don't help for all. My personal favorite is actually having AI write the prompt for you. This is where it just changed the way I use AI completely, because now I don't bother writing my own prompts if I know that the topic's going to be too complex. If I'm working on a really big project, or I just don't even know what to say, which I feel like most people don't. A lot of people just use it as Google. They'll take a quick prompt real quick and hope that it gets the result they want. I ran into that issue many times where I sat there arguing with ChatGPT, like, hey, you're not giving me what I want. Well, it doesn't really know what I want. So I'm going to have AI write it for us now. So there's going to be no one better than AI as a prompt engineer to write its own prompts. So let's go over a real life example. So what you're going to want to tell it is you are a prompt engineer. So you're giving it a role. Can you create a prompt I can use to help me with identifying higher density Chinese populated cities in the US? I want to be able to scout these areas for potential prepaid consumers. So I'm giving a little bit of context. I give it a goal and a role. Before you create the prompt, ask me any questions you have to gather context you may need to help with the prompt itself. So right there, I asked it, hey, can you write the prompt for me? I'm trying to accomplish this. You are a really good prompt engineer. I need your help. But before you actually give me anything, I need you to ask me questions that help you understand my point of view, what I'm trying to accomplish. It will not provide you the prompt here. It will give you questions. It will ask goal clarity, level of detail, the data freshness. It'll give different questions based on what you just asked it. Questions you don't even know you needed. It'll get really specific. And then after, right here, I went ahead and answered these questions. And once I did, it did provide me with a prompt. This right here is the entire prompt. right there. I wouldn't have never been able to write that to that detail, to that extent. It would have, if I would have, it would have probably taken me all day to get something that detailed. But AI, after answering a few questions that I told it to ask, wrote me that. And it worked really well. So eventually, this is a real world example where I actually worked with Julie from sales team, and we used it later on. We went on to this example right here. Now I kind of modified the system prompt that we use. I mean, the prompt that we just used, but you can tell I used AI to create this prompt. So again, targeting Chinese American populated cities for prepaid services. So I used it and then we went over it. And it gave me really detailed information with data points and everything. And you can see that this thread is extremely long. And I know you guys have done something like this as well, where you've talked to ChatGPT a lot in that same thread, trying to refine it, trying to get it to understand, trying to get it to that final output, the desired goal. And sometimes once you reach it, you're like, great, like it worked. It finally got there after like minutes or maybe even hours of refining this prompt. But sometimes you're going to have to repeat that same exact process over. So what you can actually do to avoid this is once you have a very long thread, such as the one right here that I showed you, you're going to want to ask it for the system prompt. The system prompt, it's essentially asking for everything it needs to get to that final outcome. I'll show you the exact wording in a bit, because right here, the reason that system prompts are really important is one, it allows you to repeat the same prompt in a different thread, just modifying a few details and that's it. And then you don't have to go through that very long thread again. Two, you can use it, and in more advanced ChatGPT function is creating a repeatable GPT, which is like a tool you can insert a prompt to, and it'll repeat that exact same task for you. But also, ChatGPT has limitations. So in this specific example, I actually ran into the issue where ChatGPT just ran out of like data, essentially. It just kept timing out. The thread was way too long for it to continue working. So every time I tried running it, it would crash. It would just tell me. And then I had a lot of important info on there. So instead of asking it to continue working on the project I was doing, I just said, hey, stop running it. Don't run it anymore. Just provide me an updated system prompt that I can copy. And it did. So the system prompt, exactly what I was doing, exactly what I tailored it to. So on my initial prompt, I didn't have the core mission. I didn't have any of this. But this is things that I've worked on the entire thread. So now let me show you exactly how it looks. So taking a step back, this is the prompt right here that you can use for AI to generate its own prompt. You are an AI prompt engineer. Create a prompt for me to help achieve this goal. And then you write in your goal. Before you provide the prompt, ask me any questions you need to gather context that will make this prompt more effective. That right there changed the way I prompt now. And this is the system prompts right here. So the exact system prompts that you're going to say, hey, what system prompt would have led us to this same outcome from the start? That's after a very long thread, and you just want to grab the prompt to get you to the last piece. You can either copy this prompt, paste it onto a new chat, and start from there. Or you can create a customized GPT that I can go over one-on-one with anyone that would like to learn that, or in a future training if possible. So those are my top three methods. So role, goal, output, the role, context, task, format, constraints. Sounds really hard to say. and then the having AI prompt itself. So the key thing with those 3 prompts is that context is key. You have to make sure you tell it everything that you are doing, everything that you know. Small little pieces of information can completely change the prompt itself. And you can actually test this out multiple ways. So if you ever want to test out different prompts with a similar thread you're working on, if you don't know what to say, and you're like, maybe if I say this, it'll provide me with what I need, but I also want to tell it this to see what else it does. On ChatGPT, the threads here, if you click on more actions, you can actually branch it out. If you click branch out, it basically duplicates your thread that you're working on. So now you can ask it 2 different methods and see how the responses change based off the context you give it. That's one pretty cool thing. Other things is that if you go to a new chat, you can actually change up here the ChatGPT function right here. Everyone should be on 5 if you're at least on the plus, the paid versions. I think 5 is available for the free tiered versions as well. But it comes with auto, instant, and thinking on the $20 versions. If you're on the $25 team version, you unlock the pro grade. So instant is when you type in a prompt and it can give you the answer within like 10 seconds. That's instant. But sometimes you want it to think a little bit longer. Like I get frustrated sometimes where I like poured my heart out typing a prompt and it provides a response within like 5 seconds. I'm like, you didn't think about it. I don't think you did your research. So you want to change it to thinking right here. Like then it'll actually tell you, hey, it's thinking for like 2 minutes. I'm like, I feel a little bit better about the response, the quality of the response at least. I usually leave it on auto if I'm for daily use. I only change it to thinking if I wanted to actually research, right? If I wanted to take its time. You can also bypass this. If it's on auto, you can just tell it, I want you to take your time. That works too. Again, this is AI. It's very smart. It knows what you're doing and it can work with you. One more thing is if you write a prompt, you also have the function of deep research, which is like a crazy thinking method of ChatGPT. So thinking here is going to do about like anywhere between 1 to 5 minutes of thinking. Deep research will actually search the web, search its internal databases for anywhere between 5 to like 20 minutes. So this is when you actually like want to know everything about a topic. It'll give you a very, very large response, detailed response that you can go over. But this is one of those things you'll write it and then you have to click deep research, send over your response, and you work on something else. It's going to take a while. But when you come back, it's very detailed. I also want to go over custom instructions with everyone. So I want to first personalize your ChatGPT. I've personalized mine. So if you actually go to the bottom left where your name is and you click on it, you can either go to settings or personalization. If you click on personalization, it opens up this right here. And it asks you, do you want to enable customization? It should be defaulted to yes. You can turn it off. I wouldn't recommend turning it off. Because when ChatGPT is customized, it tailors responses towards your needs. You can also give ChatGPT a personality if you wish. I have mine as default because I gave it custom instructions already. But if you want it to be like cynical, if you want it to listen more and be more thoughtful, it can. If you want it to be enthusiastic about the topics that you're researching, you can. I would leave, that's your preference. I leave mine at default because here under the custom instructions, which I had ChatGPT help me create, I told it, hey, I'm creating my custom instructions. I want to personalize my ChatGPT. Can you help me do that? Ask me the questions I need. And it asks you your role. So it's really good to include your role, any additional roles, because I know VHA, TSC, Concentris, we all have We all share roles, so we don't just some of us don't just focus in on one thing. We have multiple things we're doing at a time. You do want to include everything you're working on. I gave it instructions of like stating uncertainty when it's not sure. I don't want unnecessary humor. Like I don't need ChatGPT to have a personality. I used to when I first started using it and it was nice, but then I realized it's not helpful. It's not what I want, right? So right here you can also have it give yourself a nickname so that ChatGPT refers to you as that nickname. I have mine as blank. I really don't mind it not talking to me, just providing me with the details. But you can tell it your name, you can have it call you by your nickname or your if you play video games, your gamer tag, something like that, your usernames. Here it asks for your occupation, so I kind of already provided that up here. I just provided it again under occupation. And then more about you, you can give details about yourself, like, hey, I'm a father to a 5-month-old, or I'm a soccer coach for this high school, things like that. If you do this, it sometimes tailors responses and it'll reflect based off of your experience. So it knows you're a high school soccer coach. Sometimes the examples it gives you when you're prompting, it'll refer back to you being a high school soccer coach. And it'll try to find an example like, hey, if you're trying to focus in on doing this, like this might help in the future. That's why I really like the customization in ChatGPT. All I put for more about you is a formula preference. I was like, I don't like VLOOKUP. I only want you to give me XLOOKUP formulas when I ask you for help on Excel because it knows I work on Excel a lot. And I've never seen a VLOOKUP after I've added this little piece. And then it has a memory function. I would suggest you keep it on if you're comfortable with it. Memories, it enhances everything about ChatGPT. This is where one of the biggest strengths is. It can read other chats to see if you've ever worked on a similar project. So a lot of us do. A lot of us work on similar projects. This just allows it to go back to those and be like, hey, like, I know you've done this in the past. Like, we're going to try to, you're not going to have to repeat yourself essentially. So that's why I like the memory function. You can also manage all your memories here. I don't have any in this account specifically, but you can manage them directly on here. You can go onto the chat function here and be like, hey, I want you to save this to my memories, and then give it an example of what you want it to save. Click enter, and it's going to save it to your memories. You can be on another chat afterwards. So let me go click on here. Once you submit the memories, you can be like, hey, remember my memory about this example? I want to do this with it now. So you can reference them directly on the chat. You don't have to like access a file or anything like that. Let's go back. I think that's pretty much it. What I would advise is that like, oh, sorry, give me one sec. This is one more thing. On your settings, if you go to data controls, this one right here, improve the model for everyone. It ensures that ChatGPT won't share your chats. So if you don't want anyone else in the OpenAI company or outside parties that might be buying information to know any of this information, you want to turn this off. I would advise everyone to turn it off. It's a little bit of a security issue if you don't, because I know a lot of us like to input data into ChatGPT. But this ensures that it won't be sold anywhere. It won't be used to improve the models later on. But talking about the data, I still would not advise anyone to put any confidential data into ChatGPT itself. If you're uploading an Excel file on ChatGPT, I still would not advise anyone to upload like passwords, financial records, sensitive customer information, anything that can get leaked eventually. Because I know as much as like I want to trust OpenAI as a company and their security, like companies do get hacked. So I just don't want any of the information going out if it's not necessary to upload. If you want, you can always upload dummy data. You can always just change the data before you upload it, which works. I've done that multiple times. Just not necessarily the exact data. I'm sorry.
Daniel,
One more,
I'll just jump in here. You
Yep.
said you would not advise. We're going to say don't. Do not
Yes.
upload any identifiable information related to the companies onto ChatGPT where it could potentially be leaked or whatever. So just want to make that very clear to everybody. If there's any questions about that, please check with your supervisor before doing anything. But let's just say we're not going to do that at this time.
Daniel, do you have an easy way to insert dummy data? Like kind of similar to like a mail merge where you can just instantly wipe out certain things?
I've been trying to find something like that. I don't because it would require you to still upload your data source. I'll try to find something that I could provide to everyone, but I've also been searching for something I feel comfortable using. There's a lot of them that generate just random numbers that you can copy and paste, but it still doesn't format exactly to what you're uploading or trying to do. So I haven't been able to find something I actually like. But that's a great question. I'll eventually look for one that works, and I'll share it with everyone once I do. So also on ChatGPT responses, I know if you've used ChatGPT enough, you've seen that sometimes it lies to you. It'll hallucinate. That's what the term is. It makes up convincing sounding false information. And it's happened so many times. So you always want to be cautious of what ChatGPT tells you. You always want to go over the responses and validate them. The good thing about ChatGPT is that sometimes it does cite its sources. And I say sometimes, which is why I'm urging you to go back and check. So if you see this example here, like it's giving me a lot of data, exact data. And beneath each one, you can check the sources right here. It provides the sources of where it's pulling this information. So I feel pretty confident that it's actually getting it from government websites. But sometimes like I haven't seen it often, but sometimes it will pull from like Wikipedia. It'll pull from like sources that you don't want to trust. Like it's really, really scraping sometimes for the information you need. So I would just be cautious with what it provides you. Sometimes the instructions it gives you is completely wrong. And that's just something you want to keep in mind. All right. I think this concludes our ChatGPT 101 training. This was more on the beginner's side. There's a lot of functions that ChatGPT can actually do. And it really excites me. It's the more advanced features are like mind-blowing. Kind of want to give you a quick example of what it can do. So some of you might have heard that it codes really well, but it codes so well that it can create small applications for you. So what I did was I told it like, hey, help me create an interactive hub. Using Canvas mode. That's one of the ChatGPT modes it allows to create applications. And then I want to be able to create like a healthy lifestyle hub where I can have multiple sections telling me multiple things. And I told it I want a clickable button to find new healthy lunch ideas. Include the ingredients. I want another section to include quick workouts and then give like a 15-minute like timer on there. Give one that does like motivational quotes. So I ran it and then it asked me, like I told it before you create it, very important. Ask me questions you would need. So again, stop, ask me questions to gather context, and then do your thing, AI. So that's what it did. It asked me a lot of questions, and I did my best to answer it. You don't always have to answer it. You can ignore them. You can just leave them blank. You can just say, I don't know. Like you see for number 6, I just said no, no, no. But for other ones, I did include a little bit more information. And then it starts working. So this is the code it generated. This code is very long. I have no idea how to code, but it did it. And if I preview it, it actually gave me everything I needed. So you can modify everything on here. So this actually works. If I want a new lunch idea, it's giving me cottage cheese power bowl with the ingredients and everything. If I click find a new lunch idea, shrimp and farro salad, Greek yogurt, chicken salad wrap, every time I click that button. If I go to quick workouts, I told it I'd never want to run. This is one of those hard things I told it not to do. So it's always giving me like different things I can do. If I do a new 15-minute workout, it's going to include different topics. If I want to start this, the timer actually works. I can pause it at any moment and I can reset. Water intake, I can just include how much water I'm drinking every day. It timestamps it. I told it I want to export it eventually. Unfortunately, this is one of those kinks that I haven't been able to get it to export. If I continue talking to ChatGPT, it can refine it. I just haven't gotten around to that. But everything here is interactive. It works. And that was just with me talking in my natural language. I didn't have to code. So this got me really excited. I know there's a lot of use cases for this. I just haven't found the one that I necessarily want to use. This was just a test that I did that I was like, wow, I did that, you know? So yeah. All right. Does anyone have any questions on anything we just went over? Is anyone as excited as I am with AI?
Daniel, you're using the Plus plan, right? Not the free one for all of this. Or are you using the more
Yeah.
professional version?
So I have the plus version and the professional version. So it's the $20 and the $25 tiers. Yeah.
And any major difference between the two?
Between the $20 and $25, not too much. The only thing the $25 plan includes is the Pro, the research grade intelligence, which I do use occasionally. It's not going to be too different than thinking or the deep research function here. It just allows for more unlimited use of the Pro model.
Got it.
And then just token limitations. So how often you can actually talk to ChatGPT is a little bit different on the $20 to $25 plan. And all of this does vary like significantly between the free tiers. The free tier is very handicapped. It can still do a lot, but it is handicapped. That's a good question.
Thank you.
Anyone else have any other questions about anything? Any one quick thing I have is the projects folders over here. I'm still sharing my screen, right? Can everyone still see? Okay. So the projects folders here, if you create a new project, you can name the project and it works as a folder on a desktop. You can store all your chats in here. But what I like about it is that on the settings, you can have it so that the memories change. So the memories can be defaulted to access like a normal chat. It'll read all your memories from other threads. It knows everything about you, right? Everything you've worked on at least. But if I want to, I can put it for project only. I do not want it to access any other memories outside of this project so that it doesn't get confused. Like sometimes you do want it to stop thinking one way. You want it to think outside the box. You want to tell it, hey, just work on project only, do a test name, creating the project, and now you have a test project. You can start a new thread here. Hello, I want to work. And it'll create everything. So this is the test function here. So now every thread you have will show up on this right here. For example, I have some right? For that I was using for training. So this is all the things I've been using for training. I put them all in one location so I don't lose them, because your threads down here, it sometimes gets overwhelming. You're not going to be able to find exactly what you were working on. So it's a nice way to organize. Also, you can include custom instructions on your folders. If you're working on one project specifically for one client and they have a strict, I don't want this, you can make sure that specifically for this project, you include the instructions. I had this project used to train people on ChatGPT capabilities, but if that client says this client does not want X and Y, it will never include X and Y in those threads that you now use. So this is multiple use cases for this one right here. I just think it's really cool that it gives you that function right there. So this will be under projects. I think this is only on the paid versions. So if you have a free version, you might not have access to it. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, this is, I really like the projects here. See. All right. Is there any other questions anyone has?
So Daniel, do you recommend ChatGPT over other platform like Gemini?
That is actually a really good question. I think a lot of AIs right now are pretty leveled, meaning that they all do really good things. They all have similar functions. I personally like ChatGPT just because it was like the first one out there, the first big name, and I know it's going to be continuously updated. For the most part, ChatGPT does have high capabilities in general topics. Now, I wouldn't say it's the best at coding, but it can code very well. It's above average in every single thing it can do. But there's other AIs that just do one thing so much better. So, for example, like Google Gemini, it works really well. It uses actually the ChatGPT's like similar core, so it still thinks similarly. But what Gemini can do better than ChatGPT is image creation. Like the images Google's Gemini does is out of this world. It's very exact. Whereas ChatGPT's, it's kind of like, that's not exactly what I was looking for, but it's cool that it can create it, right? For actually going exactly based off of that, I actually didn't create this presentation on ChatGPT. I used it to create the outline. It helped me walk and brainstorm through it, but I actually ended up using Perplexity. So Perplexity is very research focused. It'll actually cite its sources. So let me show you a small piece I have. So I gave it my prompt that I used AI to create, very specific. And then right here, like it gave me everything I was looking for. And then it cites its sources right afterwards. So after every section right here, it's very research focused. So it's ensuring you it didn't make it up. It pulled it from somewhere. And it tells you exactly where it's pulling it from. So I really enjoy using Perplexity for research focused topics and for creation. So it has a function. You know what? This is going to be a different, like, whole different training. I don't want to go over this like now, but it allowed me to create this. I just told it, hey, I want to create a presentation using the outline I used on ChatGPT, uploaded it on here, and it gave me something similar. This has been refined like 11 times, but I think this is pretty good for AI, you know? Like I just told Perplexity, hey, create me a nice presentation for an AI topic. Bam. I provided that outline, I provided everything inside the presentation, but like all the formatting, everything, like these little text boxes were coded in. That's not something you could do on like PowerPoint. You would have to like find it, put it, structure it nicely. This did everything for me.
Nice.
So I really enjoy it. So yeah, every AI is different. I just personally I would choose ChatGPT because I've had most of my work on it. So it's hard for me to go to something like Gemini or Copilot even, because I have so much memory already saved in ChatGPT. But Copilot is another one that's really, really good because it's already integrated into Microsoft. It's already has access to Outlook, Teams, so you can reference anything on your Outlook. Be like, hey, this email with this person. It knows exactly what you're talking about. You don't have to grab that email and throw it onto ChatGPT. Copilot already knows it. So all of them have different strengths. It's up to you which one you want to use, which one you feel comfortable with. But yeah, it's just all preference. And then yeah, for Jesse just said that your Tesla has Grok, an AI created by Elon Musk, Tesla. It works pretty cool. It's something that you'd like talk to it as you're driving, and it's really advanced. It has a little bit of a personality, but you know, it's a Tesla.
Nice.
Yeah,
Thank you, Daniel. Yep, that's great.
Daniel, I got
Daniel, I have a question. Oh, Yuki, go ahead.
yes.
Yuki, go
Sorry,
ahead.
I'm just curious about Copilot. I heard a lot of compromise for that one, but I don't. I'm just want to make sure if we want to like for the confidential file, are we able to upload and talk to AI in Copilot?
So let me actually do a little bit more research on that. I know since Copilot is Microsoft's AI, it should have better security around it. It has access to your files with possible confidential data already. I don't want to tell you yes. So let me just do a little bit of research before I get back to you on that.
Okay.
Because that's a really good question. It would make sense, like logical sense that, hey, if it already has access to it, it should be safe to talk to it. But let me do a little bit of research before I get back to you.
Thank you.
It's a great question. And then Deborah,
Yes. Daniel, you showed us an example of how you applied AI in the workplace, helping Julie with some lists and research. Have you also done that sort of in process improvement within, any of our companies?
I've found bits and pieces. Yes, it's not to the level I want it to be, but like I've created a lot of small CPIs that, for example, in our analytics department, I created a GPT that allows, oh, this one's not showing here, but let me see if I can find it. Right here, SQL query node and formatting. So in our analytics department, we all write different SQL queries. If Ivan, Lynn, or Ben is working on something and they share their query, or I have to go and try to look into their job to see how it's pulling data, sometimes it's really hard to read it because they just write it differently. What this does is if you upload your query into this specific GPT, it'll annotate it for you and it'll structure it in one uniformed way. So now that we can all understand our code. So now what we do is every time we create a query, we run it through this right here, and then we put it into our database so that it's all structured. So we don't have to be like, that's a weird way to write it. I don't understand how it's pulling all that data. I don't know where the data is coming from. Sometimes it's like the table names don't even make sense. So the annotations help a lot. So little by little, I'm trying to find different ways to do that. It just, yeah, it'll get there eventually.
Great. Just curious to know if anybody else here is already using AI and trying to apply it in the workplace.
Hey, Deborah, it's Alex. I generally use AI for brainstorming, so I don't have any actors set up really. But if I'm working on maybe a meeting or if I'm trying to plan a new project, I'll usually use Claude and see how I can thoroughly think through what I'm going to approach.
Great.
Hey,
Anyone
Deborah.
else?
I have been working with Daniel. I mean, Daniel has shown me a lot of tricks and it saved a lot of time, especially for traveling. You just plug in the routes, looking for hotels to make sure that if we're traveling for 3 days, what's the best way, best routes and um places to stay so we're not going back to the same hotel. So it's been very helpful and it does save a lot of time for travel planning for the sales team for
Yeah, so when I worked with Julie, that long thread that I had as an actual example, I ended up creating a GPT because I know it was going to be a repeatable thing. I grabbed that prompt, that system prompt, threw it into GPT, and was able to share it with the rest of the sales team because I know they all go through that same thing. So I was able to customize the GPT specifically to help them out. And now when they click on one of these options, it'll go one by one and ask them different things. Like, I don't know if this is going to work as fast. Sometimes it needs time to think, but like I told it specifically how to act based off of just previous experience on like, I like, instead of a list of questions being thrown at us, sometimes when it asks the question one at a time, it's a lot easier to process. So that's one of the examples I had here. But yes, I worked with Julie a lot on this. So this is something I knew others would find value in it. So I made sure to create it into a repeatable prompt for others to use.
Yeah, Deborah, to answer your question too, I've been using AI for proposals, RFPs.
I'll add, and I know we talked about the whole security thing and being careful with that, but one of the things that Daniel and I have been working on the back end is to actually connect a whole NetSuite environment into the AI, and it gives you all kinds of insights into your data. So keep in mind, we're not connecting our environment right now because of the same security concerns, but we pulled in a demo environment and it is pretty amazing what that's able to do once it has your data. So those are the kinds of things that I think are to come. All of the major publishers like Oracle, like Acumatica, they're all working to embed these kind of tools into their product directly. But we can do it now without them. Just again, security concerns, we're not doing it for our environment, but once we get those figured out, it's going to be really good for example, proprietary type data that we have. Once we can create a closed environment, I think it's going to need people like Daniel, and I know Travis and Steven are really good at this stuff. So we'll probably need a lot more of your guys' help for that to keep it safe. But for now, we're just using demo environments.
Something that I think a real world example that using today the most benefit is when there's multiple documents, let's say there's multiple iterations of a contract over time. Benson and I use it to kind of compare throughout time how that contract has been modified. And it just provides a high level summary. Obviously, we still want to read through all the legalese, but it gives you a good starting point on things to look out for. And even it can give, a certain amount of legal advice as well, to a certain degree.
Great. So if you're interested in a professional account for ChatGPT, we do have a company account, I believe. And so talk to your leaders, and then we can get that for you. If you're looking to, learn it, to experiment with it for your job and how you can improve processes and workflows or whatever it is that can help you improve upon the work that you do, that's available to you. And as Daniel said, we are looking to do more of this, but it hasn't been all created. We're creating as we're moving along. So we'll keep you posted as to what's next. If there's nothing else, thank you everyone for your time, and we hope this was helpful. And if you have any feedback, please, you can send that to me, to Daniel. And I think, Daniel, you had a team helping you with this today?
Yeah. Yes. Samantha, Jonathan, Annie, Kim wasn't able to join, but they all provided really great examples and helped me run through these.
So thank you all. Thank you all for
Thank you.
helping me. And yeah, have a good day, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.